Only war.
Hey, what's up? It's Mike from 40K Dirtbags, and today we're going to talk about mission planning. This is a segment that I talked about in our book. Here's our landing page. Just finished it the other day. The book is called Tabletop Gaming for Life, and here's a little bit of background of who I am and my experience in life. And the best way I can describe the book is it's the greatest 40K book, not about 40K. So what does that mean? I started noticing throughout my life and different endeavors that I've done that I was able to carry a set of principles that I define as behaviors from one topic to the next topic. So throughout the book, we'll talk about ego, turn-based thinking, principles as behaviors, which I define as clarity, simplicity, decisiveness, and tempo. And then the full system is emotional intelligence, the skill loop, which is how we get better at things, and then how we eventually move on to something else, which completes the loop. We'll go over expectation management, mission planning, and risk management. Here's just some examples of different things that I've done in my life to translate these behaviors, everything from combat to high-risk hobbies, jiu-jitsu, USPSA, which is competitive pistol shooting, and then, of course, Warhammer 40K, which is why we are all here. And essentially, who's this book for? It's really for anyone who's willing to be bad at something, enter the skill loop, and then get good at it. Cool? So, mission planning. I haven't had as much time as I would want getting ready for a GT because of life and things and stuff. So, this is my process to be as prepared as possible for the GT. So, the next one coming up this weekend is the Geekdom. The Geekdom Con in Oaks, Pennsylvania, and it is May 23rd and 24th. It's also a like Comic-Con type event, so there's going to be tons of things going on. So if you're in the area, definitely come hang out. So if you're not familiar, when you sign up for a grand tournament, you're going to go on to bestcoastpairings.com, and this is what I used 5 years ago when I wanted to get into the competitive 40K circuit, and I literally just Googled, like, how do I do this? So Best Coast Pairings has a search feature for find events, and I just typed in within 150 miles of my zip code, and that's where I met Derek, Nolan, Brian, like the entire crew that I hang out with now. About a month or so prior to the event, you're going to get the mission pack, right? The acronym I use is straight from the Marine Corps or the military, and it's called MET-T, or Mission, Enemy, Terrain, Troops, and Time. MET, METT -T, right? So the first thing is I want to look at the mission pack. Of course, I would just want to peruse through the timeline, make sure I know what time I need to be there, but then also more importantly, what time is round one. And then we're going to start looking at the missions. So the missions are going to dictate your list and then also strategy, right? So first things that jump out at me is layout 8, which we haven't focused on that much throughout the edition. And that's all day 1, and that is 3 missions. Day 2 is layout 1, which is the traditional, most people probably played on the most throughout 10th edition. So looking at the missions, round 1, we have Scorched Earth, which is burning an objective, and then it goes away. And then round 2 is Purge the Foe, kill 1, kill more, hold 1 objective or hold more. And then round 3 is Linchpin. Linchpin is hold your home objective in order to get max points in the midfield, so don't lose your home. Day 2 is Terraform, which is you gain a victory point for every midfield objective that you have completed the Terraform action on. And then round 5 is your standard take and hold mission. So now we know the missions. Let's just peruse through the enemy. And for an enemy analysis, this is going to be a combination of a couple of things. One, this is a local GT, so basically half the guys in my regular player group circles are going to be there, our sister teams, and then you're going to have some outside players and teams as well. So from here, I generally knew who's going to be there, but now that we are list locked, more or less the roster is complete, we can kind of just peruse through and see what we're going to be up against. So we've got Andrew with Astra Militarum, we've got some CSM, Tyranids, Astra Militarum, Knights, Brett Robb, he's a sister player from Dumpster Fire. You're going to see a ton of Dumpster Fire guys. Brian Lane playing Space Wolves, he's really good. Brian Zhu on one of my other sister teams, Cuddle Buddies, he's playing Tau. I know he's playing Horde. Brian Dees, he's playing Orcs, maybe following Derek's path, I'm not sure. We've got some Black Templars, Drakari, Chris Fernandez. Chris, also from Dumpster Fire, historically played Grey Knights, really good player. So I'm curious to see how he's been enjoying Drakari. We've got some T-Suns, another Space Marines player, Leagues of Votan. Dave Anderson's going to be there. Black Templars, he's a really good player. Of course, we got Derek. We've got another Knights player, another Space Wolves, Necrons, Death Watch, Death Guard, Votan, CSM, Jason. Jason's awesome dude, great player. Jerome, oh dude, Jerome's awesome. It'll be good to see him. Haven't seen him in a while. Playing Tau. We've got another CSM player, Space Wolves, Astra Militarum, Space Marines, NIDS, Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, myself. I'm going to go over my list in a minute. We've got Emperor's Children. Nolan is playing Eldari. Nolan is really good. Dang, that's going to be interesting. Patrick Mullany playing T-Suns. We've got some Demons, another CSM or another Space Marine player, another Chaos Knights. TJ, sister team player from Cuddle Buddies. Tyler's going to be there on his Emperor's Children. We played the last GT, and then we've got another Imperial Knights player. So got a quick once over of who the players are, which we've got a bunch of really good top East Coast players. We've got some guys haven't seen before, so those are unknowns, and we've got a variety of armies. So let's go into troops. All right, cool. So I pulled up TTS here. If you are not on TTS and want to get good at 40K, I would highly recommend downloading this. I'll put 2 links in the bottom of channels that made really good walkthroughs. It doesn't take a super powerful laptop or computer to run. So we've gone over the missions. We've done a general enemy analysis, which just looking at that, the all different factions. So again, a pretty good example, even though it's a smaller GT, for a singles tournament, like having a generalist list. So you want a little bit of everything. I have been on Hammer of Averni for the last few months, which is the Iron Hands attachment. Essentially I get double oath, sticky objectives, uppy down terminators. It's terminator based, right? So I've got Canik Var with 10 assault terminators. I've got a captain with an enhancement to bring a bodyguard back. He's with another 10 assault terminators. The assassin for the Vectara, combi lieutenant, 5 scouts, 5 infiltrators, and then 2 ballistic dreadnoughts and 2 redemptor dreadnoughts. So a lot of 2-up saves, pretty decent mobility, although I'll go into the strategy once we talk about deployment and turn 1. And then I've got other mission tools, right? So I've got infiltrators with 12-inch deep strike denial. I've got my assassin, like I said, with the Vectara, and then I've got my combi lieutenant with reactive move. All right, so now we are going to analyze the terrain, right? So we went over mission, enemy, troops. Now we're going to talk about terrain. And I just use straight up an acronym from the Marine Corps, from the military, and it's called KCOA. KCOA stands for Key Terrain, Obstacles, Cover and Concealment, Observation and Field of Fire, and then Avenues of Approach. So what does all this mean? So for key terrain, that's going to be your staging areas, and these are the same for you and your opponent. So a great staging area for infantry is going to be right here, infantry or vehicles right here, and then this is another great staging area as well, right here, and then also in this pocket. Obstacles, right? So vehicles cannot go through these walls. So right here is only about a 2-inch gap. So my vehicles and my opponent's vehicles can't go through here unless it's knights, can't tow on and shoot out. So that's important to know. And then now we're going to talk about cover and concealment, which is going to be where I can deploy in my deployment zone and not get shot turn one. Observation fields of fire. So for this, right, I need to be cognizant of a few deployment areas so I can't be shot turn one. So I need to be aware of this one right here, this one right here, and that's really it on this board, because I typically like to put a ballistic dreadnought right here as far up on the line as I can. So depending on what my opponent has, if they have a Lancer, Rep X, what else am I afraid of? Like some sort of Rogel Dorn, they could deploy right here, move up into this piece, and then, like I said, they've got a tight line going down this way. Again, they could come out again over to this side and have a tight line down in this direction. And I think that is generally it. I'm not necessarily afraid about someone moving out of vehicle from here to shoot down in this direction. I'm pretty sure there is a tight line. Yeah, there is a tight line right here, which would extend out to here. So same thing, I need to be aware of a vehicle coming out here and then just walking out and shooting my guys, right? So now we did our quick terrain analysis. Let's get into deployment. So as I said before, haven't had a lot of time to play as much as I'd want. So at bare minimum, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to go over deployment and then my turn one actions. And then really from this point, your turn one actions will determine your turn two plays, right? So by doing this, deployment turn one already sets you up for turn two. And then you're only really making decisions turns 3 through 5. So this allows you to save time on the table during the tournament on the clock. And then you're really only making decisions in game turns 3 through 5. So let's get into it. Canik Var gives 1 unit scout, and he also has 1 redeploy. If my opponent has infiltrate, this is going to be the play that I run every time. The infiltrators will deploy into the midfield aggressively for 2 purposes, and then they will redeploy back to safety, and I will put scout on the 10-man assault terminator squad with the captain. Their role is to go straight to my my early expansion, right? So back to the mission. It is Scorched Earth, which is you get 5 points for burning a midfield objective, and then it goes away the next turn, right? So 2 things need to happen. If you burn a midfield objective, it means you are attacking your opponent's objective, right? You get 5 points for burning a midfield objective, and you get 10 points for burning your opponent's home. So I kind of have 2 strategies in mind that my turn 1 and turn 2 actions will determine one of these 2 plays, right? One of them is I burn my midfield objective turn 3, and then I need to be attacking and holding my opponent's natural expansion. If I can't attack and hold, right, for the next turn, denying them their points, then the play is going to turn into attacking their home, right? There have been multiple times where I've been playing this mission and I run this play and I didn't think hard enough about the follow-on consequences for me attacking my opponent's objective. I may win the battle, and then ultimately I exhausted too many resources, and then it was really all for nothing, right? So like I said, if I win the roll-off, infiltrators are going right here pretty aggressively, and they have 2 purposes. The primary purpose is to protect my scout, because I want to scout my guys right up into here. So have them about 9 inches from the board edge, 9 inches from my opponent's zone, and then really the 9 inches this way is just like as far as they can get. So from here, I'm going to deploy my knowns first, and my opponent already knows I'm going to scout. So my terminators are going to go somewhere here, and then I'm going to start putting my dreadnoughts into key locations. I'm going to go a little bit backwards for this one. So I want to make sure my dreadnought is within 8 inches of of this zone right here. And the purpose of that is so he can walk out and shoot, but shoot down this way if he needs to, but also he can use the stratagem to sticky an objective. So we've got that guy right there. My scouts will go in the rear. I don't use my scouts super aggressively. Like I'm not going to put them here, and then if I get turn one, they scout up and then move block. I'm only going to do that against super fast armies like orcs or super fast horde armies. I'm not going to do that against blood angels and stuff like that. So typically deploy them in the rear. My assassin, for this mission, I stick her right here, 2 inches off the wall, and I'll explain that when I redeploy and protect her. Let's get this 10-man squad up. So we've got the character who can move straight out. And then we've got these guys. We're going to deploy right here. I've got 1 ballistus over here. So I've got 2 shooting units that can cover this angle and go to my natural expansion. I've got my other ballistas over on this side, and I like to use my dreadnoughts in kind of pairs. The ballistas dreadnought, he goes out first. He is a pain in the butt to deal with, and then I've got at least 2 units to counter assault when they get attacked. So this guy, sometimes he deploys over here, but optimally I would really like him to deploy right here. Now again, depending on what my opponent has, this may not be optimal, right? Same with this guy, but this is what I want, right? But sometimes you don't always get that. So I've deployed him right here before, and I have deployed this guy right over here. My other 10-man assault squad, assault terminators, they are right against the wall, right on my home. And then this is just me, but like you don't necessarily have to organize them exactly how you want them to be. But for me, I need to do that because, like I said, haven't played as much as I'd want to. So I want to have a screenshot of this. So when I show up to the table, pull up the screenshot. Cool. Here's my deployment. Here's the mission. And this is my turn 1 action. So I'll screenshot both of these. My combi lieutenant is typically right here, and he is able to get a turn 1 area denial. So I want him within 9 inches or so of the center. Yep, so right about there, he's good. He can also go back into this pocket if someone gets a little bit too close. And yeah, so this will be the end of my deployment. Like I said, I have a redeploy, so these guys are just going to go right back over to here. And I'm going to put them right here, protecting my natural expansion, but also getting OC onto that point because my stratagem is in the movement phase, which means I need to have OC on there prior to the movement phase. Cool. So now we've protected myself from infantry, and yeah, regardless of going first or going second, this is what it's going to look like. In addition, I have scout, right? So again, it doesn't matter if I go first or second, these terminators are getting to this objective as soon as possible. So we're going to go our 6 inches right here, 6 inches, and then 6 inches. So regardless of what my opponent does, this is what turn 1 is going to look like. Pre-movement phase turn 1, this is what it's going to look like for me. Now my turn 1 actions, like I said, these terminators will advance. We're just going to move up as far as we can. Let's just say I roll a 1, so they're only going 5. And depending on what my opponent has, of course, I don't need to worry about vehicles, but let's just say they have bikes, right? Bikes could fit through here. So I just want to move block them a little bit because I don't want to lose these infiltrators too early. And I'm totally fine with someone charging this Terminator squad because I have -1 damage in the melee phase. I can also use Armor of Contempt. And because this is the captain, he reduces the strat by 1. So getting the squad up here really solidifies my control of this objective. Now, depending on what shooting my opponent has, will determine how far this guy goes forward, right? If they have turn 1 deep strikes, he may just have to chill in the rear. Let's just say he has that. So I might just stage him right here, covering this angle. So I can't be shot, but I can return fire. So he might actually just chill right there. This guy might move up. I don't want to touch this terrain piece. If he doesn't have good shooting, then he's going to go 8 inches to right here and then touch the objective. The reason for that is I want 2 things that can sticky, whether it's the Terminators or the Redemptor. My strats don't work on Infiltrators or the Calidus. Again, over on this side, depending on what he has, this is usually a good spot right here, hugging this wall, which protects him from this angle. So we're good there. Can't be shot there. And then he can't be shot there, so that's pretty good. These scouts might advance. Let's just say I get a 1, so we're going 7 inches this way, so that covers me totally blocked out. Terminators can just chill, and then I've got this Redemptor. Again, depending on my opponent, I might stage this guy right here, giving enough space for the combi lieutenant to react and move back right next to him, or I might stage him right here. Again, like I said, the optimal position, so I can walk out here 8 inches, get up here, get on the terrain piece, get on the objective and the terrain piece, and then be able to shoot out from it. So a couple of options there. Let's just say I do that, right? And this is generally going to be my turn 1 movement, really regardless of who my opponent is or even what they do. And then at the end of their turn, these guys are coming off the table. They're going back into deep strike. This objective may or may not be stickied. And now I've got my home is secure. No one's going to be coming up into here. I've got my backfield secure, and I've got a rapid ingress threat. Cool. And that is it. So in this video, we talked about prepping for a GT. This is just the way I like to do it. I talk about this in our upcoming book called Tabletop Gaming for Life. You can check out the landing page at tabletopgamingforlife.com. The link will also be below in the description. Also, join our Patreon if you want coaching from Derek, or join our Discord. Discord is pretty awesome. If you sign up for Patreon, you will get early access to videos, as well as our Patreon only chat on Discord. Yeah, I think that's about it. See you in the next one. Later.